In the heart of Gulf Estate, GRA Enugu, there lived a couple named Emmanuel and Sandra. From the outside, they looked like the kind of couple people posted about with captions like God when. They lived in a beautiful white duplex and owned two expensive cars. Their Instagram pages were filled with pictures from expensive restaurants, weekend getaway, and soft life. At every party, they arrived hand in hand with matching outfits, and to everyone who knew them, they were the true definition of couple goals. Sandra was a chubby, soft-spoken beauty with a glow that made her stand out without trying. She carried herself with easy confidence, the kind that made people feel comfortable around her, and her laughter had a warmth that filled a room. Emmanuel, on the other hand, had the kind of presence that demanded attention. Handsome and broad-shouldered, with a mischievous smile that made women blush and men call him chairman. He spoke with such dramatic confidence that made people believe almost anything he said, whether it made sense or not. Their marriage had started beautifully 6 years ago. Their wedding had been one of the most talked about events in the city, where everyone smiled and said, "These two will do well together." At first, they did. Their honeymoon pictures looked like magazine covers. Their friends envied them and their family bragged about them at every gathering. But behind the flawless pictures and coordinated smile, there were little thorns hidden in the roses. Thorns that Sandra noticed but chose to ignore, at least at first. It began with the usual late night phone calls, where Emmanuel would step out of the room to take business calls, weekend meeting that somehow lasted till Sunday evening, a sudden obsession with his appearance, and that suspicious habit of checking his phone as if his life depended on it. Sandra noticed these changes, but she said nothing. One evening, as they sat on the balcony sipping wine, she decided to tease him just to see his reaction. "Emma, who keeps calling you at midnight these days? Is there a business deal more important than sleep?" Emmanuel laughed and leaned back on his chair. "Sweetheart, you know how it is now. Money doesn't sleep. Deals don't wait." Sandra tilted her head slightly. She was smiling, but it didn't mean she was convinced. So money doesn't sleep. But it seems money also liked texting you good night baby at 2 a.m. Interesting. Emmanuel almost choked on his wine. He coughed, cleared his throat and quickly adjusted his shirt. "You and your detective skills again. It's nothing. Just business, I promise." Sandra smiled, but didn't respond. She had learned something very important in her husband over the years. If you press too hard, Emmanuel will build walls. But if you stayed calm, silent, and watchful, eventually he would reveal himself. She remained silent for a long time. Then she said, "Emma, you know I love you, right?" Emmanuel smiled. "Of course." Sandra nodded. "Then please, don't ruin this. Don't make me fight for you. I don't have strength and time." Emmanuel held her hand and kissed her knuckles like he used to when they were still dating. "Baby, there is nothing to fight for. You are my one and only." He said it so sincerely that anyone would have believed him. Well, anyone except Sandra. That night, as Emmanuel slept soundly beside her, his phone vibrated twice. Sandra didn't touch it. She didn't need to. She already knew what it meant. Now, if there was one thing Emmanuel loved more than cold champagne, it was attention, and Ellen knew exactly how to give it. They met at a friend's birthday party in Gulf Estate, GRA Enugu. Sandra, who ran an interior decoration business, was out of town that weekend for a client's interior project, so Emmanuel came alone. Ellen spotted him from across the room and decided immediately that she was going to get his attention. She was tall, curvy, and knew that she could get whatever she wanted if she played the right cards. So she stood up and went to sit with him. When Ellen finally introduced herself, Emmanuel felt the shift instantly. She smiled. "I have heard so much about you. I must say, you are even finer in person." Emmanuel adjusted his designer wristwatch and grinned. "Be careful, beautiful stranger. Words like that can start trouble." Ellen laughed and sipped her wine slowly before whispering, "Sometimes, trouble is exactly what we need." And just like that, trouble officially entered the chat. Within 2 weeks, Ellen became Emmanuel's daily distraction. At first, it was harmless lunch meetings. Then it graduated into quick drinks after gym. And soon, It landed at late night calls that stretched into the early hours. She had a way of making him feel powerful, respected, and admired. The exact opposite of how he felt he had been living under Sandra's shadow. Ellen flattered him at every turn. Emma baby, you are such a brain. I don't know how your wife keep up with such a brilliant man. Honestly, you deserve a throne, not a house. And Emmanuel soaked it all in like a thirsty plant. He started dressing better, buying new perfumes, and even downloading workout apps to tone his arms. His confidence inflated so much that one night he stood in front of the mirror and hyped himself. Chairman, me the big man, Odogu himself. However, Ellen was playing a very different games. While Emmanuel saw romance and respect, she saw opportunity. She saw the expensive cars, the big house, and the expensive lifestyle. So, she assumed if she had a strong grip on Emmanuel, she would get it all. As for Sandra, she wasn't blind. She had known Emmanuel long enough to read him without words. Suddenly, his phones were always face down. His business meetings multiplied overnight. He even started humming in the bathroom, buying new sneakers, and taking long showers than usual. One evening, as they sat in the living room watching TV, she leaned against the couch, fixed her eyes on him and said, new perfume, new shirts, new sneakers. Emmanuel, are you attending a secret fashion show I wasn't invited to? Emmanuel was startled, but forced himself to laugh. Baby, please, can't I upgrade my look a little? Is self-care now a crime? Sandra smiled and shook her head. Oh, self-care is fine, oh, but when self-care starts picking late-night calls in the bathroom, it looks more like team care. Emmanuel almost spilled his drink. Sandra, you really need to stop watching these social media videos that makes women suspect everything. You are now sounding like FBI. Unfortunately, while Sandra chose to remain silent, Ellen was thriving. Emmanuel was spoiling her like a man competing for boyfriend of the year. He would sponsor her weekend trips to Asaba, take her to lunch at expensive restaurants, and he even got her a new iPhone she casually mentioned once. Ellen bragged to her friends constantly. My Emmanuel is different. He is not like those broke boys running around looking for understanding girlfriend. My Emma takes care of me. I am entering that soft life era. Her friends nodded in admiration, but one of them raised a brow and warned her. Ellen, be careful. You don't know his wife. She might be quiet, but those ones can shock you. Ellen rolled her eyes and waved her hands dismissively. Please leave that one. She can't do anything. Emmanuel loves me, and in fact, I know what to do. If Ellen had one weakness, it was greed. She had tasted the soft life and wanted the entire buffet. Emmanuel's gifts and generosity had convinced her that she was special, different, destined to be more than a side chick. And now she wanted everything: the man, the house, the status, and the throne. One evening, as she and Emmanuel sat in a cozy lounge at New Haven, sipping overpriced cocktail, Ellen leaned close and traced a finger along his arm. Baby, you're wasting your greatness. You deserve a queen who supports you, someone who truly sees your value. Emmanuel, already 3 glasses in, puffed out his chest and felt 10 feet taller. My love, you understand me, and that's why I love you. Ellen tilted her head, lowered her voice, and asked the question that made his blood run cold. Then why are you still with her? Emmanuel froze, blinking like a man who had just seen a ghost. With who? Ellen shrugged casually. Sandra, your wife. Leave her. Divorce her. You don't need her. The words hit him so hard, he almost choked on his drink. He coughed violently, smacked his chest, and reached for his glass of water. Ellen, are you trying to kill me? Ellen laughed, mistaking his panic for embarrassment. Relax, Emma. You act like I said something terrible. Don't worry. I will even help you to explain to her when the time comes. Emmanuel forced a weak smile and nodded, but inside, his entire soul screamed, Divorce Sandra, God forbid. Still, he didn't want to look small in front of Ellen, so he gave a diplomatic answer, pretending to be in control. Let's take things slowly, one step at a time. Big decisions need careful planning. Ellen smiled with satisfaction, convinced she had planted a seed, but she wasn't done. 2 days later, while Emmanuel was at a business meeting that didn't exist, Ellen sat on her bed scrolling through Instagram, flipping through pictures of Sandra looking elegant and untouchable. Something inside her snapped. So she opened the Facebook Messenger and typed a message. Madam, your days in that house are numbered. Soon you will be replaced. Start packing your bags. She hit send, sat back, and smiled like a queen announcing her coronation. Sandra, curled up on the sofa, was reviewing a client's mood board on her laptop when the message popped up. She read it once slowly, then she read it again, and a small smile spread across her lips. Adjusting her silk robe, she typed just 6 words. By all means, be my guest. Then she dropped her phone and continued working as though nothing had happened. When Ellen saw the reply, she burst into laughter, and immediately she called her best friend Kika. This woman thinks I'm joking. No, by this time next year, I promise our wedding pictures will be history. Kika tried to warn her. Ellen, are you sure you know this woman you are dealing with? That woman doesn't look like someone you can bully to me, oh. But Ellen just rolled her eyes. Meanwhile, Emmanuel, he thought he was playing both sides like a skilled chess master. With Ellen, he acted bold and decisive, feeding her small promises to make her happy. But at home, he switched into perfect husband costume, giving Sandra flowers, sweet words, and late night messages. But Sandra continued to watch them slowly. Meanwhile, Ellen had upgraded her tactics. She bought new outfits, flaunted designer bags Emmanuel bought for her, and even tagged him on Instagram with captions like soft life or nothing. Her friends hyped her up and sent fire emojis. But Emmanuel saw the post and panicked. Ellen, are you trying to get me killed? Why are you tagging me in Instagram posts? Ellen, lounging on her couch, flipped her braids dramatically. Relax, your wife can't touch me. Soon, she won't even be your wife. Emmanuel laughed nervously, but inside, he cried to himself, this girl will not kill me before my time. However, the truth was, Ellen had no idea who she was dealing with. Sandra was quiet, yes, but she wasn't weak. She was simply waiting, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right move, waiting for everyone to walk straight into her trap, and they were already halfway there. Months later, Ellen discovered she was pregnant. She felt like a queen already securing her throne. She paced around her bedroom in her silk robe, smiling like someone who just unlocked VIP access to heaven. Finally, let's see who can stop me now. She didn't call Emmanuel immediately. She had bigger plans. When she finally called, Emmanuel was sitting in his car outside a bar, scrolling through football meme. Ellen pretended to be crying. Baby, we are in trouble. I need to see you. It's urgent. Emmanuel panicked instantly. Ellen, breathe first. What is wrong? What kind of trouble? Ellen sniffed dramatically. Big trouble, Emma. I am pregnant. There was silence. The kind of silence that makes grown men see their ancestors. Emmanuel stared at the steering wheel, and his brain blinked slowly like a bad Wi-Fi. He exclaimed, Ha! Father Lord, why me? But Ellen mistook his shock for excitement. Baby, don't worry. We'll figure it out. In fact, I've been thinking maybe it's time for me to move in. You know, we need to make this family thing official. Oh. Emmanuel sat up straight and started coughing like someone who inhaled grounded pepper. Move in where? Ellen replied confidently. Your house now. Our house. You, me, and the baby. Emmanuel blinked hard. Ellen, are you alright? Ellen smiled. I am more than alright, baby. I am your future, and I'm carrying your future. 3 days later, on a bright Saturday morning, Emmanuel woke up to the loud, angry honk of a driver in his compound. He looked out of the window and nearly fainted. Ellen stood at the gate wearing oversized sunglasses, red lipstick, and holding 3 big travel bags. Behind her, the driver struggled with 2 more suitcases. Emmanuel threw his hand on his head. This girl has come to kill me, oh. Downstairs, Sandra was sipping her coffee in a satin robe, scrolling through her phone when the doorbell rang. She opened the door and there was Eileen, smiling like a tourist who just arrived at the luxury Airbnb. Good morning, madam. I am here to stay. Sandra's eyebrow lifted slightly. She turned, looked upstairs, and called out, Emmanuel, you have a guest downstairs. Emmanuel ran down the stairs, sweating profusely. Eileen, what are you doing here? Eileen answered proudly, Baby, I told you I'm moving in, and it is better for the baby and for us. Sandra calmly sipped her coffee, unbothered, as if she was watching a Nollywood audition in her living room. This is fascinating. Emmanuel, would you like to explain why a pregnant woman with 5 suitcases is in our house calling you baby? Emmanuel's lip moved, but no sound came. After pacing and sweating like a goat in pepper soup, Emmanuel sat them both down in the living room. Listen, things happened. Mistakes were made, but Eileen here is pregnant now. Please, I want you to accept her as a second wife for the sake of peace. Eileen crossed her leg and smirked. Second wife? No. Stop begging her, Emmanuel. This is not about her feelings, oh. If she doesn't want to stay, fine, she can leave. She doesn't really have a choice here now. Sandra placed her coffee cup gently on the glass table, wiped her lips with a napkin, and looked at Eileen with a calm but terrifying smile. Exactly. Eileen's proud smile widened. She thought she had won, but Sandra leaned forward. I'll leave. But before I go, let me school you about the things you don't know and the house you are walking into. She stood up, pulled out a brown folder filled with documents from the bookshelf, and flipped through the pages. This house, paid by me. The cars outside, mine. The business paying for the bills right now, mine. And the man you are so eager to have is mine. But in case you don't know, she pointed at Emmanuel, frozen like a calf statue. He is jobless, lazy, and unmotivated. I have been funding his entire existence for years. Without me, Emmanuel cannot even buy a pen on his own. Silence. Eileen's confident smile melted into confusion. She turned to Emmanuel, waiting for him to deny it. But Emmanuel stared at the floor, clapping his hands tightly like a man whose wife just delivered unexpected triplets. He said nothing. Sandra straightened her robe. You wanted my place. Congratulations, you can have it. But when I walk out of that door, everything you desired so much walked with me. She walked upstairs, packed her essentials, and left the house like a queen. From then, everything collapsed. Within weeks, the bank froze Emmanuel's account because they were in Sandra's name. The house pantry emptied out. Eileen's soft life became budget management. Soon, she was selling wigs online just to survive. Emmanuel begged her for small money daily, even for football viewing centers. By the 3rd month, the landlord threw them out of the duplex and they moved into a smaller 1-bedroom apartment in Abakpa. Eileen, heavily pregnant, wept every night, not for love, but for hunger, anger, and realization that she had invested in a broke man with audacity. Sandra, meanwhile, moved on. Her business expanded to Lagos and Abuja. She bought a new penthouse, upgraded her car, and glowed with peace of mind. The final straw came at a wedding in Golden Royal Hotel. Emmanuel and Eileen attended only because there was free food. Sandra walked in with a tall, distinguished man, dressed like royalty. She spotted them and raised her champagne glass slightly and turned away. That small gesture burned Emmanuel's chest like acid. The next morning, Eileen packed her baby bags and left for her aunt's house. Hours later, a delivery man arrived with divorce papers from Sandra. Emmanuel had to sign them reluctantly. Months later, Emmanuel was still broke. Eileen was selling wigs online, and the two of them dragged each other endlessly on Instagram. Thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Don't forget to give this story a thumbs up and share it with your loved one. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Bye!